Hello, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your spring break, but we are back here in the NONA studio. I'm your host, Edgar Rodriguez, as always. Pleased to be joined by Patrick Deleon, back from his
Of
Central
course.
American trip. A little exotic there for the last week. But look, we're back in the studio, and we're
Yes, we are.
back to not only recap Nona news, but also to recap international break news. We
Yes.
think of the international break as kind of like a boring lull. Not this
Not
one.
this one.
This one has
Very
been
entertaining. Yeah.
unbelievable so far. But first, I want to start with you. How was your trip? How was your time in El Salvador?
It was good. I mean, a lot of fun. You're just visiting family, so nothing too
Nothing. Okay.
special. Nothing too special. But it was still a lot of fun. It's always nice to go back home.
I'm sure it
Where
is.
my parents are from. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely great stuff. We're back. At least I feel
Yes.
re-energized. I needed
I
this
think
week.
everybody
Yeah,
needs a break. It's always good
absolutely.
every once in a while.
Absolutely. But now, I mean, we enter a final stretch not only for our college semester, but 50 days away, Patrick, from USL 2
Yes.
starting. I feel like it all kind of begins to ramp up again.
Yeah.
So it's going to be so much fun. But let's start local news. Let's talk about some Elite 64 as well. The 2011 boys black team, coached by USL2 assistant for this season, Coach Marcelo. They're top of their bracket.
Oh yeah.
Bracket A, top of their group. They beat Miami Strikers 2-0. We know the quality that they usually bring to the table. But for our boys to be leading in that category, in that group, is great to see.
Yeah, and I think that just shows also their growth as players as well. I mean, clearly we're, not to brag, but maybe a cut above the rest right now.
Why not?
But it just shows they have the quality. They're a force to play against. If I were any other team, that's probably one of the teams I would not be excited to play against right now, especially
Not at
considering
all.
their form.
Absolutely. 2-0.
Yes.
Like I said, away at Miami Strikers,
Yeah.
which is, like I said, a tough place to go. And on the national stage, I mean, we've seen our teams already compete in Elite 64 over in California, of course,
Yeah.
for the playoffs there. Hopefully going back there in May. But to add another one would be absolutely incredible.
Of course.
How about USL2 Open tryouts?
Oh, yes.
Those happened last weekend. You weren't there for them, but we had a couple of our interns there as well, and like it was a great time, not only for the college players and the ones who have already proved themselves, but also for any local talent to see if they have what it takes.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity again to expose themselves, and so maybe find those final pieces to add into the team. Because remember, the season, like you said, it's only 50 days away.
50
So
days
it's
away
coming
from the
by,
time of
it'll
recording.
be
Yeah.
gone fast.
Yeah.
So and there's still some things that need to still be filled in on the roster. It's still super exciting to see who we can grab from those tryouts, who will come into the mix, who else will also probably grab, outside of the tryouts.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
gonna be it's gonna be a very interesting, a lot of office work per se.
Yeah.
A lot of,
I mean,
a lot of calling,
that's
but it's gonna be fun.
that's what a lot of the early season
Yeah,
is about.
of course.
I mean, that is, recruiting the best players you can.
Yes.
It's going to be Nona's fourth season in USL 2. We've made the playoffs all of the first 3 years, so of course to make it into the playoffs again will be the top priority for Coach Bruno and the boys this summer. Speaking of USL 2, I had the pleasure of catching up with 2024 captain Alon Drey. Now, we know how incredible he was for us in the midfield last season. Just kind of propelled us into having the successful season we did last year. Here is the interview I had with him. We'll react to it in just a little bit. All right, everyone. So just as promised, I am now with our 2024 USL2 captain Alon Drey. Alon, pleasure to see you, my man. How are you?
Good, good, Edgar. How are you doing? I'm doing really, really good. Enjoying my time here in Georgia right now.
Yeah,
And I'm fine. How are you doing?
good, man. Good. I'm at UCF currently. Thank you for joining us on the NONA Sports Show. It's a pleasure to have you on. I wanted to start there. How's life at Tormenta so far?
So I'm very fortunate to come to be here in Tormenta, to get my opportunity to play pro after college.
Absolutely.
Um, that's something that I really, really wanted to do. To get this opportunity after, of course, like I would say 3 years in summer league, 2 years in NONA, and 3 years in FGCU in
Yeah.
college. So I've been waiting for it a lot, and I'm just glad to be here and get this opportunity.
Absolutely. I saw how hard you worked last summer. I was able to have a firsthand experience on that, so I know you deserve it. Um, let's start with a question I love to ask anyone I interview in sports. What comes to mind when I tell you the word football?
Wow, that's a very general question, you know. It's very it's mean first of all, it means a lot to me, a lot.
Hmm.
I started playing when I was 6 years old in Israel, and you know, playing one of the best academy in Israel, and you know, all my life I gave everything for soccer, for football, you know. And it means a lot to me. It's life. It's basically
Yes.
life. You know, it's a lot of to do a lot of sacrifices to live out of from your country, leave your family, you know, in other continent, and you know, come here and go after your dreams. In this case, it's football. And it's just life, you know. Every day when I wake up, I just like to step on. I love to step on the field and have the passion with the boys and you know, for me, it's life.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I think that's what is necessary, especially if you want to reach it to the top level, right? You have to kind of just take it on, right? 100% and really have that commitment. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love to start with that question because players always have unique answers, and that was one of them.
I would add,
Um,
I would add one more thing.
yeah.
You know, for I don't know, for other people, of course, football is a lot of talents. And you know, when
Hmm.
you ask people what's football, oh, the skills that Messi is doing and the shots that Cristiano scoring, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, there is a lot of sacrifices. There is a lot of things that not a lot of people don't know. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of hard work, and you have to be committed to what you do and have the desire to live as a professional and have this feeling about soccer. So this is something that I wanted to add.
Yeah, no, 100%. People only see 10%, right? People only see when you
Exactly.
step on the field, but the other 90 is just as important, maybe even more important, because it prepares you, right, for the big stage. So that's awesome, man. I love your answer. Let's come start talking about Nona. Of course, you played with us for 2 years. Take me back to the start. You were telling me earlier how you started with us in 2023. How did that opportunity come about? Take us to the very start.
Wow. So I came here. I came to America to college to FGCU in the spring of 2022,
Okay.
and my first summer league, my first USL2 league, it was the summer of 2022. I played for Tampa Bay United,
Okay.
and I did a really good job over there. And the coach that we had, Guy, he so we had a game between Tampa and Nona in Tampa,
In the
and
playoffs, right?
not in a playoff, in like in the regular season
Oh, okay,
in the
okay.
league.
Okay.
So we play against them, and I scored a banger. And I played really really good this game, and also the second game in Nona. And he reached out to me, and he wanted me to play the playoff with them and this time, but I couldn't. I went home. So he told me, Alon, let's schedule it that we're gonna have you for next season. And I knew it's gonna happen. I knew it's gonna happen. Yeah, we had a lot of conversations about Nona, about the goals, about the stuff, what's Fabio what's he looking for the future for this club, you know.
Right.
So a lot of stuff for that, and it's really, really, really catch my attention. So yeah, I started the first season in Nona. I played every game. I think it was, I would say maybe at first I was like, oh, okay, there is a lot of, you know, kind of like it's like a professional environment and like a
Hmm.
lot of good players. So I need to step in. I need to be the best version of myself. So, you know, in every environment you go, in new environment, like you kind of like think about it, how I'm gonna get in and give 100% and be with the guys and help Nona wins because that's why they brought me.
Right.
So I had a really, really good season. Unfortunately, we didn't win the championship, but we went to the first round, and I think I played every game. And that's kind of like basically how I arrived to Nona, I think, through, when the coach see you in the game, wants you, and just connected. So
That's right. Connections are so important, and I
for
I
sure.
feel like first impressions are so important too. So everything fell into place perfectly, and of course that led us to the 2024 season, an incredible experience, I bet, for you and the rest of the boys. How do you look back on the 2024 season as a whole?
I think the 2024 seasons, I arrived to Nona kind of like more that I know more about the club.
Of
So
course.
I could help the new guys coming in to tell them about the Lake Nona Performance Club, the gym that we had, the access for that, and what's the vision of the club, where we want to go, how we want to win the championship, and to do the best stuff that we can. And
Yeah.
I think this season was like, like I was the captain, so obviously I was part of the leadership group in the team. So I kind of like help the young guys and help to lead the team forward. And I think it was really, really, really fun. We had like a great group last year. Uh, you talk with some guys, you interview them, but
Yeah.
we had a really, really good group. And thanks for Coach Dave, that gave me this opportunity to
Absolutely.
be a captain of Nona. We had also a great season together, and I really, really appreciate it. It's not obvious. So
No, yeah, Coach Dave was incredible last season. We had an undefeated home record, as you
really.
well know. I was looking at some old goals, and I came across your one against Brook House at home. Just
Hmm.
ridiculous, man.
It was
Incredible.
I remember this goal. I felt at this game that we had possession, we had the ball, we
Yeah,
moved the ball a lot, but we couldn't find the way to score. And I just like took the ball and did this slalom,
did it
and
yourself.
with a lot of desire, and put us on the with 1-0. So that's kind of like the stuff as a leader, as a captain, you need to take on yourself. And when things going not going like how we want to go, like take on yourself and be there for the team. And I think I was there. So
Yeah, that was a great example. And of course, you remember our first game was away at Brook House and it finished 0-0. So it was a huge game. Of course, then playing them at home to get those 3 points was huge. I'm sure that that was one of your favorite moments, but I've asked Christian, Slade, Ivan, and Richie this question, and they've all given me the same answer. So let's see if you go 5 for 5. What was your favorite moment of last year?
obviously the win against Brave.
Obviously, right? Of course.
Obviously, there's no doubt on it. I remember when Simon scored the goal, the last 2 minutes of the game.
Incredible.
I remember the video when everyone like slipped on the field, and like we all celebrated because we knew
Yeah.
after we got beat by them 3-0 in their house.
Yeah.
We knew we have to give a revenge and win the game, especially in our home. And I think I had a conversation with Dave about it, that we have to take this game.
Yeah.
It was very important for me, and I know for other players, again, to give the revenge and beat them at home. And I'm so happy that we did that.
Incredible, man. That is one of those moments that, like, I don't think I'll ever forget it. I mean, the celebration.
I remember you guys celebrating,
Yes.
on the broadcast over there, and I felt, I know the feeling. I was there on the pitch when like Slade running like this with his hands, and everyone. I
Yes.
remember when Coach Dave slipped on the, and
That's
it was it was like
yes.
a lot of bunch of like great feelings.
It,
So
it it all like exploded. Like the bottle had
exactly.
been shaken and then someone took the cap off of it. It was incredible.
And
Uh,
I think it also was very important for Fabio, for the owner,
100%.
for the club to beat Bray, because of course it's derby. It's like it's crazy game. It's a
Yeah, it is.
crazy
Always is. Yeah.
opponent always. So
Yeah, no, especially in our division too. I always say, the USL 2 season is a sprint, right? 12
exactly.
games. those 3 points matter so much, and especially when it's usually us and Brave at the top of the division, those games
For
are
sure.
so incredible. The intensity, it's different to all the other games. Let's talk about some of your teammates last summer. Of course, we saw Ivan also make the jump to USL One with Greenville. I'm sure you'll see him whenever you guys play.
We will, yeah.
Um, Charles playing in the championship now with Pittsburgh. I mean, the team was at such a high level last summer. How was it to be a leader? I know you've talked about it briefly, but I mean, the talent we had in that team was just incredible, and I think rare to see that in USL too. So just talk a little bit more about that.
So first of all, I'm really, really happy to see people, step into the higher level with
Yeah,
Ivan, Charles, and other also other players. And I
Gunner
know
playing in MLS Next Play
Gunner,
as well. Yeah,
National Pro, and I
yeah,
would say also Nick. He won the conference in his college.
that's right.
So a lot of players like this season gave them a lot of energies, a lot of good feeling go forward to their individual stuff. I'm really really happy for them. We had this. I said in the beginning we had a really really special group, a lot of talents,
Yeah,
but other than that, like everyone knew his role in the team, and you know we couldn't win. No, we didn't lose at home, which
no,
is amazing, So it
amazing.
means that, we had talent, but also we had like a hard group of people that work their ass off, sorry about it, but like, and give everything 100% in the game. And, some good awards for Coach Dave that build this kind of like
Yeah,
communication and chemistry and I remember when I played with Ivan in the middle, we look at each other and we knew, even though we know each other for like one month and a half, we knew we are gonna give everything to each other. So that's the way to win and keep good energy and be a championship, So
it looked like you guys knew each other for 10 years, man. The chemistry, like you talked about, and not just you guys, but I mean, at the back, the defenders always on the same wavelength. The
exactly.
attackers, we had the wingers, Paulo and I forget the other guy's name right now. But the
It's
wingers,
okay.
the strikers,
Jamon,
you know,
Jamon.
Jermaine, of course, right? And everyone was always on the same page, which is incredible. And I think it helped us, to be so successful. Um, I don't want to take too much of your time, Alan. Again, thank you for joining me. Just to wrap up, what advice would you give to the USL2 players this summer? One of the goals now under Coach Bruno is to, include more academy players, right? To be more of a feeder club, right? From the academy to the semi-pro experience. So, what's the best piece of advice you can give to the new group?
So first of all, I would say that I know Bruno from the 2023 season.
Yeah,
He's amazing guy, amazing coach. Kind of like young coach that get this opportunity to be the head coach of Nona. I was really, really, really happy for him because I know him personally. And I think obviously it makes sense that Bruno is like a coach from the academy, so he's gonna bring some academy players that he knows. And I think for them the best advice is just work hard every single day. Work hard. I
yeah,
know, a lot of when I was young, I of course I had talent, but I knew I need to work hard to reach the highest level. So that's something that they need to put in their mind. It doesn't matter how talented you are, if you're not gonna work hard, you're not gonna reach the first team,
right.
first of all, and you're not gonna be the best version of yourself. So this is one advice that I can give them, that no matter what, you get the opportunity to be with the first team under Bruno, work hard. Respect the guys, of course, but work hard. Do 100% every day. And if Bruno gonna give you the opportunity, amazing. And if not, keep working hard, keep working hard. It's a progress. You're not gonna see the results right away. And this is something that I think we're gonna see. I'm gonna be following Nona, of course, in the summer. It's kind of like weird for
Perfect.
me not to be in the team another year,
Yeah,
but
right.
I moved on. But it's gonna be interesting for Bruno and for the staff and for them to see how he let them put him in the lineup in the roster and how they're gonna handle it. And I think this is something big, big, big for the club for Nona that see young players from the academy reach the first team and be a start lineup. And this is something really, really that the club should be proud of if it's going to happen. But again, work hard, no excuses, desire, hungry every day to come and just be there.
Absolutely. Make the most of the opportunity.
Of
Wow, Alan, that
course.
was great. We could go for like 2 hours, man.
For sure, for
If
sure.
you are ever in Nona, if you're ever available, don't hesitate to stop by for a game. It would be great to talk more and to see you in
Of
person
course.
soon. But once again, thank you for your time, Alan. That's about it for this time around. We're gonna go back to the studio now. Alan, thanks again, my man.
Thank you. Bye bye. We'll be in touch.
I mean, incredible to catch up with a player now in USL One with Georgia Tormenta, not too far from here. But I mean, getting minutes at the pro stage now, being a part of a team that won in the Open Cup. We're gonna
Yes.
recap more of that in a little bit. But I mean, Alon Drey is just the type of guy you want in your midfield,
Oh,
fighting for your
sure.
team.
And it's no surprise that now he's playing professionally for South Georgia
Yeah.
Tormenta. Again, coming off a big victory in the Open Cup. Yeah, this guy was a force to be reckoned with in the
Oof.
midfield last season. I wish we could bring him back for another year.
On loan? On loan?
On
2 month loan?
I mean, it would have been perfect, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he's the leader in that midfield, and it showed on the field. Everybody loved him. Everybody trusted him. They would fight for him. It was amazing. I love seeing that dynamic between him and all the other players on the squad last season. It's going to be super exciting to see who fills in that role this year.
Absolutely.
It's going to be very fun to see how these things change every single season.
Yeah, and we know one of the goals
Yeah.
for us this year is to have more academy players in. So will one of them step up in the
Right.
midfield? Will it be a guy like Beltran Alvarez, just off the top of my head, one of the new signings? Plays that kind of 6/4 role, right? That defensive role. Will he be one of them? But like you said, his understanding with Ivan Ajakwa in that midfield was unbelievable. I mean, they just had the perfect chemistry to take the team far last season. Speaking of Ivan and our other players playing in the Open Cup, Ivan's Greenville Triumph beat Asheville on penalties in the
Yes,
first round.
away.
Of course, Asheville knocked us out 3-0 last year in the
I
playoffs.
remember that.
So Ivan getting his revenge with Greenville Triumph.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Absolutely.
It's so I'm sure with a different team and a
Yeah.
different competition, but I think he probably had that in the back of his
He'll
mind.
remember.
He's been here
Yeah.
before. Now it's time to kind of return the favor. So he did it on our behalf. So thank you.
Absolutely. And a player we haven't actually spoken about too much is, of course, Nicholas Stanhofer. He now plays for the Long Island Rough Riders, or at least appeared for them. They unfortunately fell 3-2 to the Charlotte Independence. But I mean, having that experience against professional opposition, there's only positives to take from that.
Yeah, and especially 3-2. It was clearly a close
Competitive.
game.
And that's what
very
you get in
close.
the Open Cup first round. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a very competitive game. Had their chances for sure.
Yeah.
Very close. But I think, that's your ability to pit yourself against better teams. Charlotte Independence. They're one of the more known brands in North Carolina. But
Yeah.
I think that it's a great chance for Long Island Rough Riders to expose themselves to this higher competition, and they can take good bits away from it and be like, okay, how do we apply that to the rest of our season?
Absolutely. And especially given the fact that, teams from the UPSL, right, other lower league teams can play in the first round, can qualify for the first round. Like we saw Tormenta, Alon Drey's Tormenta beat Harbor City. They're a UPSL outfit, And so you never know what you're going to get. That is the main takeaway from this in the first round of the Open Cup. So much to have looked forward to there, but we have to move on because the international break has kept us busy this spring break week. So stay tuned as we're going to recap CONCACAF Nations League, UEFA Nations League, and the first non-host nation has qualified.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Something new, something fresh. Yeah, I'm super obsessed. Let me know when you done messing. A little that, a little this, then you put it to the test. state of mind. And now I want it more. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. Okay, you got the floor. It's looking good. I kinda like that. I kinda really like that. It's looking good. I kinda like that. Come on, let's see some more. It's looking good. Keep it going, get it right. Not a trouble inside. You can't argue with perfection. Ooh, you working something up with a little bit of luck.
All right, and just like that, we are back for the second half of this show. Patrick, we are back from our spring break, of course. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let's talk about the main news coming out of the international break this time around. And we're going to start in CONCACAF. We're going to start in the Nations League playoffs. Let's start with Mexico-Canada.
Of course.
Raul Jimenez scoring a brace to send Mexico
What a free
into the
kick,
final. Oh,
too.
golazo.
What a free kick,
Golazo. We had Andres Cantor, Nico Cantor on the call. I don't know if you noticed
I
that.
did.
But as a commentator myself, I absolutely enjoyed that.
loved
But
it,
Canada would have been confident heading into this. Mexico were in a rough run of form heading in, but they turned it on. And Raul Jimenez, he has scored, listen to this, in 13 straight years for Mexico.
Yeah,
The
I remember seeing that stat too. So that's
the longest streak.
Very impressive.
Yeah, in Mexican national team history. So they look good in that semifinal.
They did. Unfortunately, they did. They did. I was honestly expecting a lot more out of Canada. I was really expecting them to kind of be the favorites, honestly. So it was very disappointing to see them kind of look so weak against Mexico. But again, this Mexico side, it looks like they've maybe regained some of their past form. It seemed to be coming out of that that pit that they've been in for a little while. Slowly climbing out of it, right? Raul Jimenez, of course, being a huge reason why right now, and he's having a great year. So Mexico, they did advance to the final to play against Panama.
That's right.
So what happened there? How did Panama get there?
Well, yes, exactly. Let's start with how Panama got there.
Yes.
Wow. Last-minute winner against our U.S. men's national team. And I told you, it was an unsavory moment, given how it happened.
Yeah.
And given the performance behind that.
Oof.
But it was also, I think, my favorite moment of the international break. Cecilio Waterman.
Yes.
What a story behind him. He was with the Panama national team, just to give a little bit of context, around 10 years ago in 2013 World Cup qualifying, missed a huge chance for Panama, cost them eventually, so kind of went off the radar, right? No one really knew much about him, at least in the international stage for a long time. Played well in South America with his club side, came back for 2018 World Cup qualifying, he did well there, Panama qualified, but he wasn't even part of that squad. So then kind of just, he's been that sort of player, kind of on the fringes, but scoring one of the most crucial, one of the most memorable goals in Panamanian, I think, history, at least recent history. And then that celebration with Thierry Henry, with my king, Thierry Henry. That's the stuff that dreams are made of. And I don't know if you saw, in the day following, leading up to the game, he was asked by the Nations League, social media team, who his idol is, and he said Henry, and they told him he would be at the game for the semifinal, and he was like, oh, it would be cool to take a picture with him or whatever, but he took more than a picture. He completely celebrated with him, and that's just one of those things that
it was a
you
very
gotta
nice
love it.
moment. It was a nice moment, but the manner, it was at the cost of the United States. But that was a rough game.
Absolutely,
that was really rough.
They didn't show up.
No,
they didn't show up for a second of that match.
Not at all. It looked like nobody had any real drive. Almost, it was
desire.
Very. I'm lost for words.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That was a terrible performance. And I will say it as is. That was a pathetic performance. With the amount of quality in these guys on paper, right? You should be beating and winning everything in CONCACAF every single year without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
And also, Matt Turner on his positioning for that Panama goal.
He's received a lot of heat.
Not the best.
I mean, don't take anything away from the finish. I think Waterman put that away with...
He saw the opening,
Yeah.
so he did everything right.
Yeah,
but
Turner,
Turner, I don't know, he was just way too... He was hugging that near post way too much.
A little too much, yeah.
Okay, whatever. But, man, the thing is, this United States side, it wasn't just this game. It was also the third place game.
I was going to say that.
Canada.
I was going to say that. It didn't only happen once. It happened twice.
Yeah.
The U.S. lost to Canada in a third-round match. And, you know, looking at SoFi, man, it was maybe 30% full.
But the thing, what you have to understand is they sell the tickets for both games. They play them the same day. So, let's be honest. It's always going to be 90% Mexico fans.
Right.
And they show up later
But
because they don't care about the other games.
That's what I wanted to say, though. Like, look at the Mexican crowd. Yes, they had the later game, and I know that's been used as kind of like an excuse.
Well, it's not an excuse. It's just reality.
I mean, okay, but like 4 p.m. in L.A., okay, whatever. But, I mean, this team, it shows that they don't draw the fans.
No, they don't.
They don't draw the fans.
It's, like,
it's not exciting.
You can't blame them for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fans have nothing to go there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna see my team and they're gonna blow me away with their performance. I'm sure if this team came in, you know, in a more exciting run of form, maybe, you know, off the back of huge wins, we might have seen a different turnout.
Maybe, but here's the thing. Also,
I think that that deflates the players.
It definitely does.
That's not a positive.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can even see like Pulisic in like a clip, like he's looking around and he looks visibly disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the thing. There's nothing right now that it feels like we're a year away from the World Cup, hosting the World Cup. We were not playing in World Cup qualifying.
No.
So you only have so much time to build that chemistry, especially with Pochettino coming in my opinion, really late into the cycle. There's not a lot of time left. What do you have next? You have the Gold Cup in the summer, but the U.S. always brings in mostly a heavily MLS roster.
And the Gold Cup.
In this situation, crashing out of the Nations League like that, no, you have to bring your main guys in. You have to build that chemistry, end it on a high, win the thing, because after that, what do you realistically have? You have a couple friendlies, and that's it. You don't have anything else. You're not, again, the biggest thing is you're not playing qualifying, so you're not getting the experience you need right now under Pochettino. And quite frankly, Pochettino hasn't been very convincing either.
Not yet. I was going to say the Gold Cup this year coincides with the Club World Cup.
Of course.
And FIFA has said the Club World Cup will have priority.
Yeah.
And so, and truth be told, the Gold Cup isn't the highest level competition, especially for the U.S. wanting to prepare really for the World Cup. I don't know if the Gold Cup is really what they were looking for in that circumstance.
But that's why Copa America last year was such a wasted opportunity.
Sure.
Because they were still stuck with Berhalter.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. Let's. Here's a quote from Landon Donovan, of course, a legend of the U.S. men's national team. So after this horrific Nations League outing, he said, quote, "I'm so sick of hearing how, quote unquote, talented this group of players is and all the amazing clubs they play for. If you aren't going to show up and actually give a crap," to not use the actual word he used, "about playing for your national team, decline the invite. Talent is great. Pride is better."
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about this off air. His era of players, sure, they might have not, stacked up in terms of talent, right? Or in terms of the European presence
but these guys
on the club level. But they fought for that. They fought for the badge on their chest, something that we have not seen of this current crop.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not like, it was just this weekend. I feel like it's something we haven't seen consistently from this crop of players probably since 2019 when they really started to appear. We were coming out of that really awkward transition period of terrible U.S. soccer. I mean, missing the 2018 World Cup. Finally, a year or two after that, 2019, 2020 was when we first started seeing these crop of players kind of appear and emerge out of the darkness, right? But they don't have that fight, that drive that we've seen the United States have from the early to mid 2000s to the early 2010s.
It's nowhere to be seen.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. I mean, you could really go. They could go head to head, toe to toe with some of the bigger European sides. Sure, probably get outplayed technically, but I mean, mentally and physically, they were still just as much
on a par.
They were on the same level, you know.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable to me because it's like, what can you as a fan do? What can you as a fan do? You can't
Hope.
But it's like Pochettino, he doesn't. I'm still holding on to him, right? But I've already seen he's already under immense pressure.
I wanted to segue into that. Poch, right? Okay, he has the pedigree of
Sure.
having success in Europe. PSG, Chelsea, Tottenham. Of course, before that, Southampton and Espanyol. He's seen it and done it at the highest level. How much pressure is on him? Because so far, he's kind of, on the outside at least, appearing to not be, too overly, he
Involved,
said,
yeah.
Involved. He said it's going to take time. Of course, we have to be patient.
Of course.
Patience is key.
It's not like these guys are playing with each other every week, so it's only every couple months.
Right. But he is expected to perform, especially coming off the back of the Berhalter era, right, which was a mess.
Right.
Pochettino, and for U.S. fans, it was like, oh, he's our savior. He's
Right.
finally going to fix everything. Clearly, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, and quite frankly, he's getting paid, $6 million a year.
Yep,
He
that's
needs.
come to the surface
It's also
more
just
than
like-
ever.
But it's like, how can you not beat Panama? How can you not beat Canada?
A Panama team who was missing a lot of
A
players
lot,
as
yeah,
well, too. So that was
exactly.
not
No, it
a
was
strong,
not a complete Panama roster.
their strongest, right?
Sure, you can make the excuse that, the U.S., we're missing some key players. Like, okay, Anthony Robinson, sure, but I really doubt he would have made a difference in this scenario. Dest, sure, he's still coming off fresh off an injury, okay, whatever. But I really doubt that would have made a difference because at the end of the day, the U.S. A, B, and C rosters should still be winning these games.
Should.
So to see these results, it's scary to think, okay, we're less than not less than a year, we're a year out from the World Cup.
A little over a year, yeah.
And we only have a couple more meetings left essentially for the team. It's not looking good.
No.
It's not
It
looking
is
good. I don't want
disappointing.
to. I hate being pessimistic. I hate ringing the alarm bell. But
There's no other
I'm
option
getting
right
there
now.
right now.
There's
It's
no
like-
other option right now, and we had this discussion on HTFC, shout out our
Shout
Hitting
out.
the Field show, about where the U.S. is right now. And I'm going to ask another question in a
Yes.
second, but, I'll ask that now. Would this U.S. team qualify for the World Cup if they weren't given the host automatic, buy-in, basically?
they'd struggle, I think.
They'd struggle.
Because they struggled the last World Cup cycle
Yeah.
too, and they had pretty similar roster. With sometimes the few exceptions. CONCACAF is not an easy place to play.
No, absolutely
Away
not.
from home,
Oh
the
my
U.S. is
goodness.
never really that good.
No.
Um,
Especially when you go into sites like Guatemala, like El Salvador.
Honduras, El Salvador,
Yeah,
like dude,
Trinidad
that's
and Tobago.
Rough. It's rough.
Historically.
It's very, very rough.
Yeah.
But like that's their home field advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's rough. They'd struggle. I wouldn't say we wouldn't qualify. They'd struggle, but I would expect them to still qualify. But right now, I mean, again, that's what I feel like we're missing. That's what even before we had like Pochettino, even before even when I knew that the World Cup was going to be in the United States, Canada, Mexico, I already know, okay, we're losing 2 years of worthwhile experience because of no qualifying. So we have to make the most of it. And right now, it doesn't feel like we're making the most of it,
No, not at all.
That's the issue. Again, the biggest point of that was last year's Copa America. And they lost to, again, Panama in the group stage.
Panama own us.
Yes, they
Panama
do.
own
Like
us
I don't know
recently.
what they've done, but
They have our
cannot
number.
beat them, right?
Yeah.
So that was, I think, the biggest opportunity for
Yeah.
this whole cycle. Okay, you're gonna play the likes of like Colombia, of Uruguay, these guys, right? And man, to crash out in that,
Oof.
okay, maybe a little bit more acceptable because it's the Copa America, but it was still a painful watch.
It was.
But this is almost like unacceptable.
Yeah.
Because even under Berhalter, we won every single Nations League under
Yeah,
him.
exactly. One last thing on the
Yeah.
U.S., because we could do a whole show on U.S.
yeah.
soccer right now. Pochettino came out before, and I've always warned against this.
Oh, yeah.
He
I know
said,
what you're gonna say.
more or less, the U.S. can be number one. We can be the number one team
They
in
can
the
win
next
the
5
World Cup, is
in the
what he
next
said.
5 or 10 years. Now, okay, hold on, because we have to temper expectation. I understand this group of players is known to be the most talented U.S. team ever, right?
Right.
And they've earned, because they have, that title. But to say that before, the Nations League, and then to come out and play like the way they did.
No.
I mean, you can't be doing that.
Let's-
But here's the problem, though, with that. U.S. soccer fans, the casual soccer fans, which is a considerable amount of the
Yeah.
fan base,
Yeah.
will look at that and get their hopes up. They'll
They've-
believe it.
Yeah.
And of course, it's marketing talk. They want to hype up the World Cup. But it's a dangerous game to play
It is.
when you're talking the talk and
then
not
you lose
walking the walk.
Panama and Canada.
Exactly.
Like, let's be so serious.
Yeah, man.
Because even, it's such a tricky game to play.
It
you know?
is,
So
it
again, that's
is.
what I'm saying. What can the fans realistically do? What can you do? You can't really. And here's the thing: there's not enough pressure, I think, in this country in terms of soccer, not just on the national level, but even just for clubs.
Yeah.
There's not enough pressure
Yeah.
that you see in every other place in the world, right?
The do
They
or
will
die
be
mentality.
at your neck
Yeah.
if you do something wrong.
Exactly.
You don't see that here.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it took Berhalter a good, 5 years to finally get the boot. Sure, I mean, it took a while for the voices to get louder and louder in terms of like, okay, we want him out. But it's not like they got him out because of what the fans were saying. It was only because they embarrassed themselves on an international level
Right.
at the Copa
Right.
America, right? And even still, the World Cup, they brought him back after the World Cup, right? So it's not,
That was just a mess, man. From
it's,
start to finish.
The thing is, U.S. soccer from top to bottom, it's very broken.
Yeah.
It is. I will admit that, and I
Yeah.
love United States soccer.
Same here.
I
Same
do.
here.
I do.
We just got to be honest
I
about
do,
the
but
situation.
I'm not going to be totally delusional.
Right.
I know I've said some things in the past that you might be like, you disagree with.
I've tried,
But
I've tried.
In this scenario, in this sense,
Yeah.
you have to. That's just what it is. It's not the way it should be ran
No.
at all. There's not enough pressure on, from the media, because that's immediately suppressed from U.S. soccer. They will take away your credentials.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So what changes? How do you approach this final stretch heading into the World Cup? What can you do to kind of bring back that belief in the team? What can you do?
$6 million a year, Poch. Fix it now, right? That is where
man.
the U.S.
Yeah.
men's national team is at the moment. We'll see what's next after this. I think they play Switzerland
They
and
play
Turkey.
Switzerland, Turkey in the summer. Of
Yeah.
course, the Gold Cup. And then
Right.
after that, a couple more breaks.
And then the
that's
World
it.
Cup is going to be here.
Yeah.
It's going to be here before we know it. We've talked for almost 15 minutes about the U.S. men's national team. We can't forget the final of the Nations
course.
League. Mexico
Yes.
2, Panama 1. A hard-fought loss for Panama
Yeah.
in the end. A game which...
A penalty right at the end that
heartbreaking.
Ugh,
Heartbreaking.
what were
And
we doing?
again, the only thing I can come up with is that he expected an attacker to be
Yeah.
there, and he just put his arm out instinctively to block him.
It almost looked like it, but it's also like, dude,
But then it's like, what are we doing?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
It hits him like right here.
Right in the
Fully
arm, and it's-
extended it. Like, come
it's a
on. Right at the end. That's the
Stonewall
most painful
penalty.
part. Yeah.
And then Jimenez puts it away. He's one of the
course.
best penalty takers, I would say, in the world.
He's
I mean,
only missed, I believe, one in his whole career.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then he just stands there on the spot, so cold,
Mm-hmm.
as they win the Nations League under Javier El Vasco Aguirre, who I think is getting more comfortable with this
I think so.
Mexican
I
team,
believe so.
and they might be on the uprise.
Yeah.
Completely opposite if you look at the situations, right? They're also going to host the World Cup, and they'll be feeling very good about it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure. The confidence building
Yeah.
huge.
Of course, the fans with their chants, not what we want to see happen again. But it's
That
nothing.
could be a whole segment.
It could be.
honestly.
It could be. Let's not open that can of worms today because we have UEFA Nations League to talk
Yes,
about. Let's
I
move.
forgot about that.
Let's move away from everything going on here at home, and let's cross the pond.
Some amazing and
Oh
entertaining
my
games.
goodness! And let's
Like,
start with one of the most entertaining. Germany
Italy.
3-all
Oof.
against Italy in the second leg. 5-4 winners on aggregate. Look, Germany walked away with a 2-1 win in the first leg at San Siro. And then in the second leg, I mean, they were 3-0 up at halftime.
Ugh. But
An incredible game, an incredible goal for Musiala coming off of the corner.
Yes.
Italy fell asleep.
Yes.
You can't be offside. We had to double check our rules on that. You can't be offside directly from a corner, so it was completely fine.
because Donnarumma, he had pushed up a little bit
Yeah.
to talk to the referee about something.
Complaining.
The defense wasn't paying attention.
And
Referee
Kimmich was
never
awake.
necessarily stopped play.
No?
He,
No whistle, no
as
nothing.
normal.
Yeah.
So Germany, they saw it. They took the opportunity, similar to how the Liverpool
Absolutely.
corner against
Corner
Barcelona
taken
all those years
quickly.
ago. Same kind of thing,
Same
essentially.
exact thing, yep.
Musiala saw it, put it away. Rest is history.
The rest is history. Germany are through to the Nations League semifinal. So too are France, but a
Yes.
little more nervy.
Yeah.
Although Italy came back in the second half of the second leg, 3-3 in the end, but Germany won out. France lost the first leg 2-0
Yes,
in
they
Croatia. Second leg they won 2-0, but that of course meant extra time, which of course meant penalty
Penalties.
kicks. It went down to Dio Upamecano. I believe it was the 7th round of penalties to send France to the semifinals, but a little worrying for Didier Deschamps.
I don't know. I think they'll be fine.
Sure, but
I
Croatia
think
gave them of course, an aging Croatia side. We've talked about this.
True.
They're still going at it
They're
at the
still
highest
going at
level.
it. I mean, you still see how Perisic is doing over in the Netherlands.
Yep.
You see Modric is still, around in Madrid, still wearing that number 10. He's still that leader, right? But yeah, you're right. Maybe a couple alarm bells just because, okay, maybe you struggled a little bit against an aging Croatian side, like you said. But I would never count this France team out for anything. I think there's just so much talent and embedded within this squad. It's almost like you'd be crazy to start betting against them.
Listen to the attacking options they have. Doué,
Yeah.
Olise,
Mm-hmm.
Dembele, Mbappe, Kolomuani, Barcola.
That's terrifying. Like I would not
What
want to
other
play.
nation in the world has that much youth talent in the front line? I don't think any.
I'd have to. The closest would be Spain.
Probably, and
But
we'll get to
even-
them in a sec.
Yes. Yeah.
But my goodness, those options.
If I were on the opposite team and I saw that roster, I'm like, dude, I'm going.
Oh my
I'm not playing
goodness.
against this, and that's why I'm not a professional. But,
Unbelievable.
but it's like
Yeah.
that's insane talent. That's what I'm saying. I would never kind of count them out for anything.
Yeah.
So, especially when it comes to Nations League right now, because it's one of the more interesting tournaments. I feel.
Yeah. It heats up at
It
the end
does.
for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think this year has been as exciting as ever for the
Yeah.
UEFA Nations League. And another incredible game. Portugal-Denmark.
Yeah.
5-2 after extra time, 5-3 on aggregate. Again, Denmark winning out in the first leg, something, we didn't think we would see. And then the second leg started off insanely. Ronaldo missing a penalty.
Yes.
We know how that can get in his head. We know how he can start reacting. But he went on to score later
Yes,
in the
he
match. Trincao in the 86th minute, making it 3-2, sending the game to extra time. Gonçalo Ramos and Trincao scoring again to make it
Putting it to
5
bed.
for Portugal. But my goodness, again, Denmark, almost similar to Croatia, a team that always gives the big boys in Europe a hard time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's always interesting because Denmark, I feel, they do a good job at causing
Yeah.
problems. Considering they probably have, how many guys would you say are, I guess, world class or superstars?
They have the likes of Eriksson. They
Yeah.
have the likes of Højlund.
Yeah.
But that's basically it when you look at the overall. At the back line, the likes of Vestergaard playing for Leicester, whatever, right?
Right.
But, Portugal, again, having a hard time of it. So,
Yeah.
Portugal are through. We're going to talk about the semifinal matches in a
Second, yeah.
Because, my goodness, those matches are so enticing. But I think we saved the best for last. We were talking about the conundrum we had, choosing which game to watch, because all of these happening at the same time. But I'm glad we both chose Spain-Netherlands.
Oof.
Because in the first leg, Spain opened the scoring. Netherlands
Yes.
came back 2-1 before the best striker in the world at the moment, Mikel Merino, tying things up for Spain in the 93rd minute in the Netherlands. So that made it 2-2. So heading into the second leg, they were all tied at 2. And then, my goodness, in the second leg, Spain goes up 1-0. Netherlands ties it 1-0. Spain goes up 2-1. Make it 2-2. Lamine Yamal making it 3-2.
He had an amazing 2 games. By the way.
180
He was
minutes
probably-
of incredible
Honestly,
stuff.
might have carried Spain these last
Yeah.
2 games. Insane.
And then Xavi Simons, by the way,
Yes.
another youth superstar, making it 3-0 from the penalty spot.
Yes.
Taking it to penalties, Spain winning out. But, oh my goodness, let's talk about Lamine Yamal.
17 years old. 17
It's
years old.
ridiculous.
And the level he's performing at right now, it's insane. Like what I was telling you, if Spain were to win the next World Cup next year, Yamal is still 17 years old. He'll be 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, 18 by then.
Yeah.
he's easily got to be up in the conversation of one of the best
Teenage
of the
players of all
century.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and teenage
of
players
all
of all time.
time.
All easily, because
Absolutely.
I remember seeing Mbappe when he won the 2018 World
Yup.
Cup when he was 18 still. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a while till we see a guy like him again.
And
And we already have that with
Already.
Yamal.
He has to be the most
Oh my
valuable player
goodness.
in the world right now. Given
Has
his
to be.
age
He has
and
to
given
be.
his talent and the level
He
he's
has to
playing
be.
at,
It's unreal because you see how he's producing for Barcelona on a weekly basis. For Spain, consistently getting call-ups and producing for them at an international level. That's unreal. Unreal skill. And it makes me feel bad because I'm 20.
we're older than him.
You
We're
know.
older than him, but he's not hosting the NONA Sports Show, is he?
No.
No, there you go. Levels.
There you go.
Levels.
No, but just like
But,
the amount of skill,
incredible.
it's incredible. I could only imagine where he could possibly go from here.
Imagine his peak.
Can it get better? Surely it can't get better.
But it can, though, surely. I mean, he's only 17.
I know, but it's like that's remarkable.
He
to me.
probably has another 2-3 levels in
And
terms
that-
of his play.
imagine,
Oh, my
imagine.
goodness. He's going to be
We'll,
unplayable.
we'll check back on him in like 15 years.
Sure,
See where
sure.
he is in terms of all-time greats.
And
You know.
wouldn't be surprised if he's in the conversation. That's just an unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
180 minutes of
Yes.
football, not just from Yamal, but from all the players
Yeah,
on display. Unai
entertaining
Simon
too, like-
had an incredible performance in goal for Spain. And I think you could say that about most of the players on the pitch, even for the Netherlands. What a matchup.
Yeah.
But then in the semifinals of the Nations League, we have two very interesting matches.
Yes.
Germany-Portugal in one of the semifinals, and then Spain-France.
Oof.
A Euro rematch.
Wow.
We saw Yamal scored an incredible goal at the Allianz Arena when those two sides met last summer. But, I mean, out of those two matches, I mean, Spain-France, of course, steals the headlines.
Yeah.
But then Germany-Portugal is so interesting as well.
Yeah, but I think the thing for me, I'm going to have to stick with... I think Spain is going to win the whole thing outright.
Yeah, I agree.
Spain
I
are
agree. They have to be the
probably-
favorites.
They have to be. I mean, if not Spain, France. But
But one of them is going out.
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Germany, Portugal, also a very
Yeah.
exciting and interesting matchup as well. Because Germany, very talented as always. You know, a great squad. Portugal, they've never fully ever, I guess, instilled that belief that I think they could win something.
Ronaldo going strong, Patrick.
They do good, but I don't know. There's something
Yeah,
about them that I
yeah.
feel like they can never reach that final level that they should be at, if that makes sense. Considering the amount of talent they also have, right?
Absolutely.
It always feels like they're missing something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Spain, I mean, I would argue that they're probably the hottest
Nation in the
national
world?
team in the world right
I
now.
think so.
I think so.
I think so.
I think they have
100%.
the ability to field like 10 rosters of different guys, and they'd be comfortable with
Yep.
each and every single one of them.
I think so. They're at that level.
Yeah.
Again, something like the 2010 era of Spain. My goodness.
Yeah.
They're almost getting to a similar level. I'm not saying they're there yet. I'm not
But
going to get
it's
ahead of
very
myself.
much like in
But they are enjoying so much success like that team did. And who knows?
the
So
last step is the World Cup.
absolutely. And 26, I think they're my favorites at the moment. If you were to ask me 400 something days out, I think Spain
I think
have
so.
to be.
I think so
Have
because
to be.
especially if they win Nations League right now against, there's three other very qualified, very talented
Yep.
squads as well. Spain, if they can come out of this on top, I think that's a huge boost in
Yeah.
terms of like, okay, we're the best in Europe. We're going to be the best at the
Oof.
next World Cup. And they'll have
Absolutely.
more time to prove that as well because
Yeah.
qualifying is coming up. We'll see how they do in that as well.
100%. 100%. And if Spain and Germany do face in the final,
Yes.
it'll be another rematch from the Euros. Of course, in the semis, that game was also unbelievable. So lots to look
Yeah.
forward to. A mammoth, a monstrous NONA Sports Show this week. One last thing, we can't forget about them. Japan, the
Oh, yeah.
first non-host nation
non-host nation.
to
Comfortably.
to punch their tickets into the 26 World Cup. I know you love your Asian football, so how about shout out for
Shout out.
for
I mean, yeah, they
Japan?
still have
they are
three ga-
steamrolling
they
the
still
competition.
have 3 games to go.
And they're in.
They're in. I mean, are we surprised?
No, not at all.
It's always going to be Japan,
South
Australia,
Korea,
South Korea,
yeah.
Saudi Arabia, and
But
whoever else.
I think at
falls
this
in
early
line.
stage is impressive.
It is. I mean, they got the work done.
Yeah.
I mean, they already. I'm sure they're a force to be reckoned with in Asia. Even at an international scale, we see what they can do to other teams, right? We saw how they played against Spain and Germany in the last World Cup, right? Unbelievable wins,
Springing
historic.
surprises, yeah.
You know, New Zealand also qualifying for the World Cup.
That's right. Out of Oceania.
Just last night or this morning.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Very congratulations to them.
Did you see?
Because they've been there before, 2010. So it's been 15 years for their return.
Did you see Chris Wood getting booked?
Yeah, I did.
For getting subbed off and then going to the crowd to sign stuff? What are we doing, ref? Why?
But I mean, man, Chris Wood, he's having a great year.
Yeah, great season.
Both at Nottingham Forest and now finally punching that his second World Cup, I believe, now with the Kiwis to the United States. It's going to be very fun. Hopefully we can expect some great things out of them as well.
Wow. It's ramping up, man. World Cup qualifying, Nations League, everything. And then, of course, the end of the leagues around Europe.
Yeah.
So much to look forward to there.
For sure.
But I think we have to wrap up, Patrick. We have gone on for a while. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, of course, to Alon Drey for joining the show for the first time. He joins Ivan, Slade, Christian, and Richie on the show. So he's the 5th former NONA FC player to come on. So hugely appreciated. And we hope that you guys enjoyed this edition of the NONA Sports Show. The podcast will hopefully be back this week as well. And then we'll see you again next week. But from us, from NONA Studio, it's take care. See you next time.